Once you see my Instagram live, you can join. Hey guys. Oh, so Jamie is here. I'm gonna go live with Tess. I'm waiting for Jamie. Ooh, look at that. Oh, I'm great. I'm great. Yeah, you just left, so you can join again. All right. Hey, hey, hey. Hey guys. All right, we're just waiting for Jamie to go online. I think you should lower the volume of the phone. You got it. All right. Let me write a caption first. We have Jamie
Okay.
Illustrator. Hey George. George is here.
Yikes. Wonderful.
All right, let me set the caption first.
How do I get rid of...
Okay,
This is really close.
pin comment. All right, so I guess we're just gonna we're just gonna introduce Jamie first. I'm looking at him in front of me too, but yeah, Jamie, talk about yourself. Just what you do, what you like. I know he's a really good sniper in Call of Duty, and he's an okay shooter for basketball. Hey,
that actually that actually broke up quite a bit. I'm sorry about that. But
I don't know.
yeah, I'm
It's
an
cool. It's fine.
editorial illustrator. What'd you say?
Oh, Jamie's.
Hello. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. No, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, I'm Jamie. I'm an editorial illustrator by day and whoever I want to be by night. um, yeah, that's basically that basically sums it up for the most part. Do a lot of fun activities, but pretty sure we'll get into those a little later.
All right. I guess we can just start sketching, right?
Sure.
And I'm gonna be asking you some uh, questions that might be way too personal for you to be comfortable to answering.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Oh, you need to switch your camera. Yeah, got it. All right. So the reason why I started inviting people for Instagram Live like this, it's because after I moved back to Indonesia, I realized that oh, I have a lot of friends here who are very good as an illustrator, but they do not go out somewhere else and promote their work, or maybe they just haven't realized that there's a lot more opportunities out there. And the same thing, I think having my friends from the US talking about their stuff can be quite inspiring for not just for my friends here, but for everyone. So yeah, I guess it's just something that's chill like that. And I don't think we can see your canvas properly yet. I think we're looking at your cable for now. Oh, you can switch the camera
Let me do that. Yes.
if you if you just double tap. Just double tap your screen.
Yes. That currently is not working for me. Come on, boy.
Oh, Jamie just left again, guys. Anyway, if you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comment. I'll ask Jamie about it. Go live with Jamie. He
All
said
right.
he's nervous.
All right. Okay. How about we do this instead?
All right, yeah, we got your screen now.
Cool. Noise.
All right, you good, Jamie?
Yeah, I'm good to go now.
Can
Thank you.
can we finally like start the proper interview?
Wow. Maybe about half an hour.
All right. So, right, when I thought of like interview questions, it sounds super formal, and I felt like, um, you know, there's already a lot of that out there talking about your motivation and all that. So I thought the questions can be a little bit more about lifestyle and about how your life affects your work as an artist. And the main question, not the main question, but the first thing I always wonder, right? Because we went to um, school together and then we were roommates and then we have classes together. And then we both visited New York together when we were like, what, junior year, was it?
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
believe so. Spring break.
Yeah. And that's when we were like kind of promoting our works. Um, then after that, we went to New York again, but we went kind of like separate direction. I did my studio work and books, and you start with your editorials and everything. So how did you like? What do you think along the way as a student that process that helped you to have that first foot on the door for your editorial gigs?
Honestly, just really trying to figure out what industry I wanted to be in. I feel like did a lot of the legwork for me.
Hmm.
Just because it eliminated the time that I would actually have to search for that. And then once I knew what direction I wanted to head in, I feel like the next important thing, I guess, was just to just research the heck out of it to see, first of all, who's in this industry that I really um, like their work and stuff, who in this industry is basically doing what I want to do and working
Yeah.
with who I want to work with. Um, so sort of shadowing, hope I don't sound like too much of a stalker, but sort of shadowing their life, you know, even down to the detail of like every Instagram post, like what art director did they work with,
Yeah.
and sort of trying to figure that out. Yeah, I feel like that did a lot of the work for me, or at least helped out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I guess it makes sense because I remembered like we would kind of like stayed up stalking some Instagram posts for names and finding their emails on LinkedIn.
Oh my God.
And
So hard finding emails on LinkedIn.
and like when um so I guess you were the one who helped me a lot with emailing people because a lot of people feel that like you have to wait until the work comes to you before you reach out to the people. So um, even after you reached out, we met with some people, right? And you met with some people from New Yorkers, and you got your first gigs from them. How did you like
Yeah.
maintain that? So that it's not just a one-off thing. Because I think for me, sometimes what's been a little tricky is maintaining that working relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think, honestly, I feel like first impressions, maybe, and just because I know the meetings definitely really helped, but I think what really helped maintain the relationship was just because we got to meet them in person, they were able to see beyond the artist. which I feel like they really want to check out because they want to know who's on the other side of that computer, you know, making the artwork, your thought process behind it. They generally are nice people and they just want to know who you are because I guess a lot of times as illustrators, we focus solely on the work.
Yeah.
But then if I think about it, it's just like, well, there are a lot of different illustrators who work similarly. So what really separates one from the other, you know? So I
What
feel
do you
like
mean by work
just
similarly?
so that have maybe a similar style, at least they might have
Yeah.
different voices, but a similar style. So like you have your pen and ink, or you have your more painterly, or you have your like your super detailed. And I feel like
Hmm.
those are grouped. Those artists are grouped together based on style. And then
Right.
what separates that is like you'll have the different voices. So some people, two different artists, they might have the same style, but one might be more, they might focus more on clever concepts, while the other focuses more on really emotionally drawing the viewer into the image. So
Right.
then that's another dividing factor. But then if you have the opportunity to connect, even if it's not face to face, like even if you can just tell them like briefly just a bit about yourself in the email and who you are, I feel like those personal connections just really help lay the groundwork. And then once
So
they
you're saying
see,
like, sorry. So you're saying like when sending the email or like reaching out, make it personal?
yes, yes, I would
Okay.
definitely say that personal, but brief, because you know
Okay.
they're going through the emails rather quickly,
Yeah.
and even if you don't get a response initially, they do look at it. So
Right.
there's an example as to where that happened to me. Like I emailed an art director a year ago, and I didn't get any reply back. And then a couple of months ago, they reached back out saying that they had had an opportunity for me, which was totally a shocker because you know I thought I was non-existent to them, but they do take notice and they do look, which I thought was pretty encouraging. So really, almost thinking of it as an elevator pitch, but not as much
Okay.
pressure because they really want to know who you are as well. Because you already have the killer work. So if you have that opportunity to present more of yourself, that could be pretty helpful.
So when you said you already have the killer work, means that like, everything starts with the work itself anyway, right?
Correct. Yeah, I believe the work is definitely the conversation starter.
Okay. Yeah, that's cool. Um, because it's something that like, remember when we first started writing emails and we were like, is this too long? Is this too short? Am I being too direct?
Yeah,
Yeah, we were like revising the first draft and then we don't even get answers.
exactly. And imagine that with like 60 emails.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of like sending emails and making it personal, right? Um, you
Mhm.
know, we play games together and then we play music. I know you play basketballs too, and you are into a lot of other different things.
Mhm.
Um, and you also talked about voice. Do you think um, what you do as an artist, that's not your art per se? Like if you're an illustrator, things that are not visual arts, do you think um, those factor into your work? And because sometimes we always feel that like, oh, we have to just draw, we have to grind, keep working, keep making stuff. But do you think all the other things that you do in your life other than art is just as important?
Oh,
I
for
mean,
sure.
yeah.
I'm sorry, I cut you off there, bro.
No, 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 no. I mean, it's kind of like a yes answer kind of question, right? But why do you think so?
Oh no, for sure, because um, it's funny because I didn't really notice this until our senior year. Um, It was like an epiphany one day. I was laughing with our friend Tess about this. I walked outside to take out the garbage, and it was such a liberation that I really cannot explain. Like, I've never thought so clearly in my life. And that's the moment where I realized that I'm human. And just these little activities during the day provide so much fuel and so much just creative OJ to start off
Okay,
my day, you know?
dude. It's like a good like
But
metaphor for a movie. When you're taking out the trash, you're also taking out the trash in your like creative space. You're,
honestly, like just little things like taking out the trash or cooking a meal, um, things that help you realize that, hey, you need to eat in order to make good art. You know what I'm saying? You need to
right.
take care of your body because basically you are what you're providing to your client.
Yeah.
So if you're starving yourself, like you can't produce your best work, you know? If you're not getting enough sleep, which I was a little hard headed at first, but I had to learn that, you know?
Yeah, after the ER trip.
Honestly. But yeah, just little stuff like that. Just, man, it really helps so much. And it just helps. I was reading about sleep, and while I was reading, there were just so many different correlations between sleeping, like different connections between sleeping and how the brain problem solves. Like it's just so amazing how even when you sleep, you're trying to figure out how to solve your problems during that day. That's why, you
Yeah.
know, sometimes you wake up and you're like, oh my God, I know what to do in this particular situation because you allowed your mind to just basically run the different run the different equations to try to get it right
All right.
until it just figures it out, you know?
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. It's like, you know, right? Like people always talk about like work life balance, and you never really like understand it until you take out the trash, you know?
For sure, for sure.
And when you were talking about, sorry, what were you about to say?
Oh no, you got it, bro. I was just saying we do talk about the work life balance. I was just agreeing with you.
So when you mentioned about the voice versus the style just now, I think that's something
Yeah,
that's interesting because um, I know a lot of like, I mean, we also just graduated like a year and a half ago,
for
but
sure.
I know a lot of people who are also struggling finding jobs, not because they're not technically sound, but just because like the art director feels that they can use someone else for this, not them in particular, right?
Yeah.
So, um, can you talk more about like what do you mean about your voice when you're creating an artwork? Because I think it's something that a lot of people don't really pay attention to. You know, we always feel like, oh, the style, how, what kind of like gouache should I use? What kind of paint? What kind of brush? You know?
Yeah. Yeah, I feel like to connect with what you're saying, just I guess there comes to a point where, like you were saying, you realize, hey, I feel like I like painting more than this. So I feel like pen and ink might be my thing. And then you run into a point where like, okay, I know that, but what's next? Um, it was definitely
Right.
really difficult to come across in the beginning because it's like you have these wonderful tools that you can use and that you think you can use quite well, but then what do you use them for, you know? So I feel like that's where voice comes into play, like your point of view, like what do you want to say thematically with all of your art? Not saying, especially in editorial, like the themes can vary quite a bit depending on like what you accept. But even with
Right.
editorial portfolios, like I found, um, thematically throughout the portfolio, you can get a sense of tone or voice. So maybe their pieces are more somber, or maybe their pieces are just more happy, more heartfelt, more um, just more happy-go-lucky. You know, that's where
Yeah.
you get the differences between like your Dadu Shins and then your Natalie Andersons. You know. um, So
Yep.
really figuring out what you want to do with the awesome tools that
Uh,
you've taken the time to hone and taken the time to really work out.
I guess it's kind of like if you imagine it as a person, then the style would be like what they wear, and then the voice
Yeah,
might
for
be like their
sure.
personality.
Yeah, that's a rather good way to put it.
Yeah, I thought about it all night.
Oh, hey, you slept on it, I bet.
Oh, Jamie, like right now, right?
Yeah,
Um, a lot of people feel that, with the corona and everything, there's a lot of big decisions people have to make. Like, for me, I had to like decide whether I should stay in the US or if I should just go back here in Indonesia.
for sure.
And a lot of people who just graduated may also be like, oh, like, should I then go to this city? Should I pursue some job? Should I pursue like being a freelancer? And that kind
Hmm.
of reminds me like, um, before we graduated, you decided to get married with Jennifer now, right?
Oh yeah.
And you were really pondering upon it, and it's a decision that you took the time thinking. And like, regarding career and life wise, sometimes we have like those decisions to make. Um, how do you feel that like one should approach it? Not exactly a guideline, but like in your personal experience, like, should you put your work first? Should you uh, think of other things first? Just
I think
personally for you.
I think that's actually a really good question. Like I think realizing that, like we were saying earlier, like you're a person first before you're an artist, and just
Hmm.
realizing that whatever, like you are what you eat in a sense. So whatever you put into your life or whatever you choose to enrich your life with can only make your art better. So I feel like considering um, what the decision will mean to you, like where you'll be if you like the area that you're going to move to, or if you're considering taking a relationship to the next level in that sense. Will it distract from you focusing on your career, or will it be something that you feel um, you definitely be able to balance?
Hmm.
I think, in a sense, trusting yourself, because I feel like, especially with huge decisions, you never know 100% at first. It's sort of
Yeah.
something you also step out with, and then you make adjustments along the way, I feel. Um,
Yeah.
and once I realized that there is no perfect answer, but I can only make the best decision from where I am, I felt the pressure just sort of lift off my shoulders, and I sort of trusted myself more to say, okay, if I were to go through with this, because I know I love her and I know that I want to spend the rest of my life with her, everything's gonna work out okay.
Oh,
It has to.
yeah.
It has
Yeah.
to.
And now you have Bob at home. So if you guys
Hey,
don't know, Jamie and Jennifer, they just adopted a dog. Her name is Bob, right?
oh my goodness, Marley, but close enough, close enough.
But yeah, I think that's really interesting because when I think about you, right, it's never one of the reasons why I felt in the end that I should leave New York is because it felt like their work is everything. The prestige of the work, like, oh, I didn't get work. Someone else got work from the New York Times, for example. I didn't get it. Like, why didn't I get it? Like, why is this blah, 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 I started
Yeah,
overthinking everything. And then when I think about you, you're like, my life comes first. And then, like, you moved back to Florida in the end and you got your own place. And now you're settled down and um, you're still doing fine. So it's sometimes like, the thought of like, missing out, actually, are you really missing out on something? And if you're missing out, is there really nothing else for you to do other than that one thing that you feel you've been missing out on?
Yeah, I definitely dig what you're saying. It's like providing options or having options of what to do sort of
Hmm.
helps you in a way to be more open-minded to the possibilities,
Yeah.
because I feel like especially when like you're in search of completing a goal and you feel like, oh, route A is the only way to get there because that's the only way that I've been on. um, if anything else pops up out of nowhere, sort of a reluctancy, because honestly that's how I was after moving from New York. So at first, to be totally honest, I had a bit of resistance because I was saying, oh my goodness, like all of my favorite illustrators, they live here. And maybe, and I wasn't even, I guess, piecing together all the realistic factors. I was just sort of creating intangibles in my mind and saying maybe there's some kind of correlation. Like, who's to say that if I go to this bar tonight, I won't meet this person, which could lead to,
Yeah.
these types of connections. But I felt like, in a sense, that was unfounded personally,
Hmm.
just because I guess I didn't trust in the connections that I'd made and in the strength of those. And then also, I didn't trust that at the end of the day, you can only produce the best work that you can, no matter where you're from, and just hope that it will resonate, you know?
Yeah.
So after getting out of that mental rut, with a lot of help from Jennifer and stuff, but after getting out of that mental rut, I started to realize, okay, it's not the place necessarily. Like I felt like it was necessary, but only for that specific amount of time. And
Right.
then once we left, um, like I said earlier, like it would have to work out basically.
Life
And
goes on,
then
right?
exactly. Like as long as I didn't stop making art, I felt like things were going to turn out okay.
Oh, Jamie, we have questions. One from Megan and then one from Ringling alumni. So from Megan, right? Um, what are our biggest struggles with art? My biggest struggle is not being able to work in CJ anymore and like, chill at night, just working with friends like that.
Yikes. For sure, bro. For sure. I feel like biggest struggle now is just um shoot, that's a great question. Biggest struggle. Oh, I feel like my biggest struggle is finding the time and the mental space to just pull away from art when I need to,
Mm,
just to read more or just to, I guess, immerse myself in other content besides editorial illustration or besides projects, and to sort of add to the mental and visual fabric um, that can eventually just make my work better, like
yeah,
watching more movies or just reading
yeah.
more, just to
Honestly,
really,
that's so true because I felt that. I feel like, it's nice to be able to work, right? Like
yeah,
it feels like, when a client contacts you, it feels like you get this small reward, like, oh, I just want something, But at the
yeah,
same time, sometimes we talk about it, like how do we start saying no just because so that we have the time to reset? Because you always have this feeling that like, um, oh, what if they never come back? What if I'll
oh my
never
goodness.
get right?
To this day, like just earlier this week. And it's crazy,
Yeah,
like you would think that would go away, but I guess it hasn't gone away completely, but it's not as bad as when we first started, I think.
yeah, yeah. So, um, yeah, I think for me the biggest struggle is kind of similar, but also like, once you put out your work out there, at first you put out the work that like you want to get hired for, right? And then you get hired to do that work, and then more people hire you to do that kind of work, and then you start feeling like, I want to branch out. I want to do something else that's not this. And then I think that's
Yeah,
the biggest struggle in terms of like, work wise.
yeah. No, I
And we have a
definitely.
question too from uh, Ringling College alumni. And how are we maintaining those relationships? Like, I guess the questions would be relationships with clients and like interpersonal too.
Mhm.
I
I
guess
think
with client,
basically. Oops, you got it, bro.
sorry. Yeah, I was breaking up. Well, for me, maintaining it with clients, it's more like um, if I enjoy working with them and if I feel like it's something that is, it's something that I want to do, I try to, give my best. That kind of goes without saying, but sometimes you do the work just for the sake of doing it when you're not really into the work or into what the project is. And sometimes you wonder, like, why did I even take it in the first place? But I think to maintain your clients is something that's like you keep emailing them, you keep updating them with your work. Every couple months, if you have something new, just send it to them, just show it to them, and just be a nice person. I think that's much better than being a good like illustrator business wise.
Yeah,
But
no, that's definitely
yeah,
true. What'd you
how
say?
about you? How about you?
Honestly, yeah. Like I think you're a bit better than I am, especially about like sending new work and doing all of those things. But I feel like for me, what has helped maintain those relationships uh, is just responsiveness.
Mm,
So like answering an email maybe 30 minutes to an hour after they sent it, as opposed to end of day, could definitely
mm,
help because they'll know that basically they'll know that you check your email and they'll know, okay, this person's pretty prompt, so if I need something in this particular time range, I know I can count on this person.
right.
um, yeah, I think just little things like that go a really long way. um, and then also like how well you can interpret feedback, which I can admit was definitely a difficult thing for me in the beginning. Um, but then having to realize that, okay, you're going to get notes, you're going to get feedback on what you'd have to fix. It's just how well you receive it
Mm,
and how well you want to move closer to that helpful info that they're giving.
yeah.
But yeah, I think those are probably some of the most important to me, definitely.
So someone also asked that as a student, uh, they're working to find that they don't have enough energy to make art right now, and they feel like they're not progressing. Is this okay? What do you think, Jamie?
Uh, as a simple answer, yes. But then as a
Hmm.
more complex answer, yes, but I feel like it's great to like acknowledge where you are mentally, where you are creatively, because if you're not honest with yourself, like I feel like it can show through the artwork. Um, but after realizing that, I would just try to find other outlets that excite you. Maybe it's going fishing, or maybe it's um, just anything like playing a sport, a way that you can get stimulated so that
Right.
when you come back to making art, because art is something that you really love, you can bring that energy to it. And maybe it'll spark some other ideas that are totally unrelated to what you're doing, but it can help out immensely with your art making. So I feel, yeah, definitely, it's okay. Like it happens so many times. Like as a student, as a professional, I feel like it's not. I think we were talking once. It was like I think being a professional is like realizing that you're on a roller coaster, and instead of trying to get off of it, you just try to enjoy the ride, and you just try to embrace each part of the ride.
Uh,
So I feel like once you embrace it in that sense, you can sort of gauge, you can sort of act as like a personal thermometer and gauge where you are creatively and see where you need to, I guess, enrich in other areas in order to bring that back to the art making.
That's yeah, that's actually really interesting. Like, going through the ride, like, just let the universe does its thing. Um, 'Cause for me, sometimes when I feel like when I'm the most unmotivated to do art, that's when I force myself to do art the most, you know? Because I feel that like if I can push myself to start doing art when I feel this, then on like if I can do art in my in the on like the worst days, then it's just gonna be super easy on the easiest days, on good days. But that's me. So I guess it's kind of like everybody has their own process. Because I like to be, yeah, I like to be structured. Like I don't like when like, oh, I'm feeling down, I don't want to do it. Like I like to kind of like defeat that challenge. Feel the way you feel, like, just letting it be. Hop on. Oh, Jamie just left again. You just left. You can join again, Jamie. But yeah, like but there are days when I'm like, let's hop on some game for a little bit and just let it out and let take it away from making art for a little bit. And so since we're already at 9:05 a.m. here and it's already like what 10 p.m. there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's go with one last question from the viewers. And actually, let's talk about two questions that I think is interesting. One, the question is, so this person's been drawing for 10 years
Okay.
and they've been told that they're still not good enough. And have you ever thought that you'll never be good enough as other artists out there, and how to overcome it? And the second question is, um, how do you know that your style is that, George just
Wait.
asked, is Howard Pyle overrated?
Wow. Wow. Tune in for the next episode for that answer.
But let's answer the first questions first. Like, um, if you'll ever overcome feeling that you're not good enough. I think for me personally, I never felt that I'll ever be good enough. But it's easy to make it, when you dwell in it and you start feeling like, what I'm doing is pointless. Um, I guess the answer is you'll never be good enough for yourself. But when something good happens related to art, you should celebrate it so that it becomes kind of like a springboard. So you can be like, okay, I just got this. Let's get on the next step. What can I do next? So it doesn't feel like you have to be like, like um, some great artists tomorrow, because it can take them like 10 years or like 20 years to get there. And you have your own timeline. I don't know. What do you think, Jamie?
No, I definitely agree with that. Like, I feel like recognizing that, holy smokes, 10 years ago, like, I wasn't good enough. But if I look at my work today, I like where I am now more so than where I was back then. So then trying to,
Ah,
piece together like those breadcrumbs of time and where you were in that time and space
mhm.
to sort of see your progression, and then just realizing that, hey, I probably always feel like this. Like, I know personally I still feel like that, but I feel like that's really good because you're constantly growing, or there's always another avenue that you want to go in art, that you feel like you just want to push yourself just for the fun of it, like, even if it's not for an assignment or for a project, if you just want to explore. So really, I guess taking the pressure off of myself to want to be good enough really helped me to improve more and just really helped me to enjoy the process a little more. And like you said, just celebrate the victories that you get along the way.
Mm, yeah. And so how do you know that like your art is, your style now is your style? Like when did you, you know, what Till say, your shtick?
I didn't know until now. I didn't know it was my style, but like the end of my senior year, everyone just did a sketch cover for like this comic class, and I saw the way that I was working, and I wasn't something about it. I just wasn't completely satisfied with it. So I was like, you know what? I'm probably not getting a grade for this. Let me just do whatever I want to do. Um, and I had to figure out, shoot, what do I want to do? But I feel like sort of just taking any restraints of what I thought I had to do off myself
Mm.
really pushed me to explore other avenues. So that's where I started painting more. Um, but honestly, I knew that that was my voice, at least for right now. I knew it when I felt that I enjoyed the process from start to finish. That's when I knew that, yeah, I think I want to create like this. I think this is my shtick, like you said.
Damn, yeah, you're so right. Like you put it really, yeah, because I was like, yeah, how do you know that your style? I mean, yeah, of course, if you draw it like that, that is your style. You can't change yourself. But that part when you say that, like, if you're happy doing it from beginning to the end, and if you don't have expectation of like, oh, this is what is expected from me, yeah, I guess that is how you know that that is that is you, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
Well,
that sort of reminds
okay.
me. Oh,
Oh, sorry. No, go
no,
go
no,
on.
you're good, bro. You're good.
No, go on.
No, like it almost made me think of like Lucian Freud, like the painter,
Yeah.
and how even though basically he progressed in his painting, but he had his own voice of painting, it didn't really pick up like with the masses until later in his life. So even if your shtick is considered, let's say, so different or you haven't seen anything like it, if you enjoy making work like that, and if you feel like I have a market for this, especially if you want to make a living making art, then I would say just continue to go in that direction, and I'm pretty sure it'll lead to something pretty worthwhile.
Uh, well, since it's 9/11, um, let's answer one last question from George. Howard Pyle, is he overrated? Personally, right, I think there are other illustrators that I like visually more than Howard Pyle, but just the fact that like during his time, he kind of like set so many like precedents. I think that's why he is not overrated. But if we're just like comparing like apple to apple, just like image wise, I have like other artists that I like better than him. But all the other things that he does other than just his art is what makes him not overrated to me.
For sure, like I feel like his system of teaching made it
Hmm.
easier for other artists, especially those that
Yeah.
learned from him, to really extend beyond the lesson in a way, to figure out different, I guess, just different ways to paint on top of the skills that they've learned. Figure out what rules they wanted to break or what rules they wanted to really ride upon to make different type of art. So it's just not Howard Pyle copies, you know?
Yeah.
But I feel like because he broke it down, um, especially when teaching, because he broke it down into steps, it made it more easily digestible. So that once you get the milk of the matter, then hey, let's get to some more protein, you know, and really see how to jazz it up.
Some protein. Oh boy. All right, this is my last question for you, Jamie. Um, I didn't mean this to be like an interview at first, but somehow it became kind of like an interview.
Uh-huh.
So, what kind of question do you always want to be asked uh, when you're being interviewed? Something that you feel like, people don't usually talk about or people don't usually find out about you.
Mm, I got it. So I would ask.
Oh boy,
I
here
would.
it comes.
I'm sorry. Let me apologize in advance. But I would want to be asked, I guess, how many points I could drop in a game of 21 basketball. I would really love to be asked that.
All right, so how many points?
23.
What? All right, he's just flexing now, guys. All
Hey,
right.
now you know more about me. Don't know if you want to know that, but hey, you know it now. Sorry.
So yeah, thanks for joining. I know you're in the middle of some deadlines. Do you
Oh,
mind
thank you,
showing
man.
what you've been sketching? We've been looking at the top corner of your iPad most of the time.
Get out of here. Oh my, I'm so embarrassed. Um, it's, let me see if I can. So basically, I've just been playing with collage a little bit. Can you
Oh,
see
okay.
that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Can you get it closer?
Sure.
Oh, okay. Oh, now, oh, damn. It's like a collage.
Yeah. So basically, just working on. I just tried to take a simple theme of just simplifying information. So since I'm just starting out, just wanted to try different things. Mess around.
Yeah. All right. Thank you, Jamie. And thanks everyone for watching us. It's not like we're super professionals, we're also still learning, but I thought
For
it's
sure.
nice to share things that we've learned on, throughout the different stages of our, I guess, career. I still feel weird calling myself like an illustrator for career wise. I still feel like, right? I feel like we still
Yeah,
have
it's like
so much to learn.
exactly like every single day.
Yeah. But yeah, thank you for joining. And if you know anyone who's interested in watching this, but they missed it out, I'm going to be posting the Instagram live recording on my YouTube channel. The link is in my bio. Um, I was supposed to record our Zoom meeting, but I only started halfway through. But I got your face now, and I'll put everything there. And if you guys want to support Jamie, go to his channel, not channel, go to his account and follow him. If you want to support me, everything is in the bio. So yeah, thanks for joining me.
Yeah,
Thanks,
thank you
Jamie.
so much. Hey,
All right,
thank you.
are we gonna play some COD?
Oh, you better believe it, bro. Snips is online.
Snip, snip. All right, look at the camera, Jamie.
All right.
See ya. Oh, oh.
Wrong camera.
All right, see you guys. Have a good one.
See ya. Oh, bro. So the reason why I could not see on my phone, this was on my screen the entire call. And if I pressed, like, I couldn't even double tap to switch the camera. And then I pressed cancel. And whenever I pressed cancel, I exited the call. It's all good, though. It's all good. That's my bad, though.
Wait, let me post this first. IG Live. Um, taking out trash makes you a complete artist.
Is that the name of the episode?
I can't save it as I think Instagram now does it trickily like that because I can't save it. Um,
Hmm.
I think it's because like they don't want people to post it somewhere else.
Yeah,
That's annoying.
I feel like, but you can save your stories though, right?
That's what I thought. Now there's no more save. There's just like
Shoot.
post on IGTV or
Uh-huh.
post on IGTV or delete. But I have
Wow.
a way. I have a way. How to save IGTV video.
Oh my gosh.
Go to IGTV video you want to download. Oh, okay. Yeah, copy the URL and paste it on the. Oh, this is still recording, so they'll get the bloopers behind the scene. Instagram, you'll watch
Oh boy. I didn't say anything too stupid yet. I said yet though.
it. You just said, "Oh boy." Yeah, Jamie, that looks great
Boy.
though. The collage, I really like
Oh, thank you, man. I'm just messing around, honestly. I didn't know if it was anything worth saving, but I found the file. I was like, okay.
it. I'm gonna stop this recording first so that we can start talking more,
Normally.
not normally, more improperly,
Ooh,
unproperly, disproperly, improperly.
take it easy. Those are
But
words I like to hear.